along this little funky downtrend support line, you have a reversal, made a new low, close on the high, made a new low, close on the high, made a new low, close on the high. Every time it kind of gets into this area, the buyers end up in control. What you're about to see is a video snippet from inside the boiler room. Every single morning before the open of the US stock markets, I analyze dozens of stocks and then decide on the trades that we're going to look at for that day with dozens of traders. We all get together, execute trades, chat some, and make some money together on a Zoom conference call. Go to thepatterntrader.com/club to find out more. There were two key reversals that occurred right on the nose of this monthly uptrend line. So this has been a long-term uptrend line, and you can see to the penny how we coincided here. Bang, bang, bang. And then you had two right there. And then not only did you bang right there, but made a new low, close on the high, made a new low, close on the high. And these are monthly bars. So very different than a 5-minute bar. When you see the final result after a month, it's starting to tell you something. So that we have banged exactly to the low. Now, sometimes you see these ascending, broadening triangles, and they can be neutral. They can either go lower or higher. And I do think that we have, for the time being, hit a bottom. Probably the next big resistance is 320, a long ways off still. So again, with that in mind, I've been kind of poking around. It's been very frustrating, poking around with Qualcomm. I've been poking around with Zoom, poking around with Salesforce, poking around these lows. And the problem, when something's bottoming, it bumps and grinds for a while. It gives you a lot of false starts. I took a number of pokes at these things, but today it looks like I'm going to get paid off. And so, that's, the name of this game. It's persistence and kind of understanding what's going on, but sometimes it just takes a long time for, something to happen. So we've been watching this IGV now. And to me, it was an open question, but I've been always saying, notwithstanding all of this stuff, that I still got to give the benefit of the doubt to this pattern. Until this thing is kind of voided, it still looks like this thing is staking out a bottom. And now, with today's price action, I'm sure we'll kind of come through here. We got a Fed meeting tomorrow. And, if you get a dip into that, just buy it. So, this is what is, the real deal. This is the noise and the distraction. So I try and find these to kind of give me insight. So when all of these things closed well last night, I just bought them. I bought the Dow calls on the close. I bought the IGV calls. Because, sometimes we don't know, but, when the market kind of just starts confirming what we're looking at. And that's the thing, you as a trader, you got to just go through all of this stuff. And then in 3 days, you could make back all and several times more. And this is kind of what I watch for. I wait for the clarity. Sometimes it takes a while to get clarity, but when you do, then you can just take a move like this or a move like that. And so this is what I'm always looking for. Something that kind of gives me an insight as to what's going on. And then I look at these as opportunities. I was saying last week, I bought right there, right at the low, surmising that this was going to hold. And then we had more evidence in the form of a key reversal. And then in my underground session, I said, if this creates an inside bar on Monday, just come in and buy the high. Buy a breakout above that high. I've been taking multiple pokes at Zoom. I took another one yesterday. I've been taking pokes here and then it's been failing. And then I took a poke here and then it kind of failed. But, once you start seeing an aggregation, and that's the thing, it's like, if at first you don't succeed, try again. Every time I thought it was ready to go, it had another thing. But at some point, so, along this little funky downtrend support line, you have a reversal, made a new low, close on the high, made a new low, close on the high, made a new low, close on the high, there, and there. So every time it kind of gets into this area, there's buying. The buyers end up, in control. So, typically, you don't see this many. You get a bottom there. Then I thought this was a bottom. I thought, okay, I'm going to get long. I got long there. Then it failed. I got out. Then yesterday, I saw this thing bottoming. I started buying it, early yesterday, and then more on the close. If something's going to close well, and that's what I always say, either buy at the beginning of the day or at the end of the day. My thinking is, even if this opened lower, I was just going to buy more. So sometimes you take a risk by buying, when you buy in the close, you're saying, okay, I expect some immediate follow through the next day. But, the way I felt about this, the risk reward at some point, I always look for risk and reward. I always talk about that, the trade-off. Sometimes it looks crazy to buy in an area like this. Terrible looking stock, terrible looking chart. But you start getting these little signals in here. And, sometimes I feel stupid for sharing that I'm buying in here. Because to me, I know what I'm doing. I know that if I start fooling around in here, I've got a very little window. If I'm wrong, I'm going to get, taken out for a very small loss. But to me, to fool around with getting long here, I might have this much risk and that much reward. So that's how I look at these things. It's an offset. And sometimes the market just gives you these little gems in here. And so I just look at this downtrend line. I look at how it stopped. I look at how prices reverse here. And so now you've got this, sometimes you just got to draw this in your mind. Is that going to look like that? I do all, this kind of visualization all the time. And, this was a hard one, but, when prices reverse like this, when they have these key reversals and start pointing where it wants to go, again, it may not work, but my whole thing is, even if it doesn't, my risk is so small and my offset is so much bigger. So again, it takes patience. I thought it bottomed here. I thought it bottomed here. I thought it bottomed here. And then finally I gave it another go here. So, there's just no magic to this thing. It just, sometimes you just, have to it's patience. So Clay says, my bad habit is setting stops too close. Well, yeah. The best thing to me is just wait to see how something closes relative to the high and low. And, at some point you can set risk reward where you buy it here, you put your stop under there. I get into these areas, frankly, I don't put stops. I just, I kind of have enough faith that, the market is showing me where that risk is. But, even if you put stops under these lows, you wouldn't have been stopped out. So it's very arbitrary. If you now put a stop here or there, it's just arbitrary. That's what I say. People just put stops. I'm going to be a good boy. I'm going to put a stop, 10 pips away or 15. Market doesn't care where you put your stop. You got to look at the entire thing. The stop needs to go under this low. Anywhere in between is just arbitrary. It's just where it goes and stops. It's arbitrary. Now, sometimes what I'll do is I will get long and then use kind of the previous unchanged as a stop area, meaning that, we're going to gap higher now, and the thing, keeps going. And then if it starts coming back down here, then I'm not going to give a stop all the way to there. I'll kind of like say, okay, somewhere around this unchanged area, just so, I'll give it a little room and, maybe put a stop there. But that's very different. If it's opened this high and it starts coming back this way, then, I don't want it to turn into a key reversal on me. Although I find it very difficult that, to visualize, markets now going through all of this. So to me, on any pullback, I want to just keep buying this thing. It zooms around 78 now. I've been looking for this thing to bottom for a long time. And that's what it is. It's just patience. It's like you think you see something here. I've been expecting this thing to go back to 120 for a long time. So you think you see the bottom here, and then it makes a new low. And so that's just the problem, the thing with trading. It's you try these things and then it looked like it bottomed here. But, even here, when something goes down this quickly, it doesn't go back up. It needs to build away. So there's a certain aesthetic. There's a certain way charts move. They need to build space away from a downtrend so that they can go back up. So then you just look for evidence that this thing is, building space and ready to go again. And to me, I bought this, midday yesterday, and then I bought more on the close. I figured I didn't have a whole lot to lose here. So sometimes you just have to wait for these times in the market. And, it takes a long time. It took, months and months to get to this opportunity. And there's just nothing I can say. There's no shortcuts to life. There's no shortcuts to anything. Life's a process. Trading's a process. The market's put on these lows. But then, whenever you're trying to, like Moderna, whenever you're trying to speculate there's a top, tops and bottoms take a long time to form. Even if you think this is a double top, which it was, it just took all this more time to then go this, to then give you that. So, this is my problem. I see that, I know what that means, and I'm raring to go and I'm ready to see, go there. And then all of a sudden it's right back in your face. And so there's a certain aesthetic to trading. It's easier, obviously, to do trends. When the market trends, you can get in and it goes. But if you're kind of predicting a turn in the market, that's when it's always difficult. You get the turn, but they always give you one more how you doing before it gives you gravy again. And it's the same thing here. I saw this bottom here, but the markets take a long time to get going. They have to create a separation. Whenever you kind of get a profound trend one way, you don't just go back the other way. You need to, it's like a U-boat, man. It's like you need to build that space. And so this is just experience of just looking at these things and, everything in its time. But I think it's time. And so once we understand what's going on, then we can use this environment. It's been so topsy-turvy. But I think now things are starting to sort itself out. And I think you've put in a bottom. So if we put in a bottom, there are going to be days or weeks where we're going to come off again. And you got to see those as opportunities to buy into it. Hey, if you would like to trade alongside me every day and join our most prestigious program, then head over to thepatterntrader.com/club for more information.